Hello, party people. So I haven't done one of these in a while. But it feels like time for a Thinking Man's Thursday. Let me just adjust my camera just a shade here, so I'm actually looking at the lens properly. And, yeah, the eyebrow continues to be unruly. Probably a scar in there somewhere that's causing that. Let's see if we can't erase that like an old pencil mark. And... oh, it's fucked. Oh well. Cost of getting older. Amongst other things. So, because I'm friends with Newsfist, and he's friends with Rhetorically Defective, and Artie and I have been having a conversation about James Lindsay this morning, it occurs to me that I should, ironically, this is a Thinking Man's Thursday. And, yeah, I did in fact call James Lindsay the Steven Seagal of intellectual discourse, of political discourse, rather. And I don't think that's necessarily an inapt description. But this is more about giving you guys a warning. Just because someone speaks in an intellectual fashion does not necessarily mean that they have the intellectual cojones to hold, well, a strong opinion. We'll put it that way. I've found over the course of my life that people who, to use the Newfoundland vernacular, talk grand, tend to do it either as a facade, a way of making themselves appear more intellectually capable than they are, or as a means of dissuading others, intimidating people from engaging in said discourse with them. That eyebrow is going to drive me nuts. I can see it in the little black bar next to my... and of course the sun comes out to fuck my chroma. I can see the eyebrow just... the lens is right here and there's a black bar just above it, and I generally center my eye on the lens so I keep looking into the camera while I'm speaking to you. It's somewhat distracting. But to get back on point, and I do apologize for the sniffles, it's kind of colder in the shed than I thought it was. I probably should have thrown a sweater on. But people who tend to speak in exceptionally flowery terms or with intellectual terminology, there's a way to tell whether or not they actually deserve the respect that these terms this use of terminology can entail, and it's by watching how carefully or comfortably they use it. Someone just walked by. And one of the things I've noted over the course of my life, and has been made abundantly clear in watching not just James Lindsay, but quite a few of the people who are in the panelverse, to, borrow a term from my friend Sasquatch, Caucasian Sasquatch. You should also check him out on YouTube. Yeah, I'm just name-dropping like crazy today, and I do apologize, but yeah, I like to give credit where credit is due, and all of these people, as friends of mine and connections of mine, it's coalescent thinking. So, yeah, I tend to draw things together in a... what's that? It's not a gestalt. It's a computer term. Heuristic. There we go. See, I can use all of this language because I understand what the terms mean, which is actually something I got from the Scientologists, believe it or not. There was a Scientology group that used to go into one of the institutions, one of the correctional institutions that I was connected to when I was doing my counseling. And one of their pieces of literature made it stringently clear that you should always know exactly the term that you're using. You should be very familiar with the definition of it and its usages. Ironically, yes, very true. We'll leave my opinions on the Scientologists aside for now. But when it comes to someone like James Lindsay, and I will repeat, the Steven Seagal of political discourse, I, I definitely put the right term on him there. But when it comes to someone like Lindsay, you have to be careful that when he speaks in a very fanciful, rarefied sort of way, that he isn't trying to smoke show you, isn't trying to put a smoke screen in front of you. See, sometimes I do kind of stumble over what I'm trying to say, but I'm getting the point across. That's something that James does not always do well. He doesn't always make his point clear. And I think part of the reason for that is because he's not really grasping what he's saying. There are times, like this woke right term that he supposedly invented, and may very well have invented, even though it is spreading, though, yeah, not really correct to use it the way he does. And really, it's an obvious, how to put it? It's an obvious attempt to confuse and obfuscate. I do like the word obfuscate. To obfuscate the nature of what he's trying to say. Because he is connecting people on the right, supposedly using tactics of the people of the left, the woke, it muddies the water of what he actually means, which gives him the ability to shift the meaning as he needs to during a discussion. That's one of the reasons that when I try to get across one of these concepts to you guys, I try not to couch it in I try not to be too academic about it, too high-level academic at least. I like to speak in an intellectual fashion. I don't always know what a term I'm going to use, or a term that I'm thinking about using means perfectly, so I don't use it. Now, I think, ironically, I think that might be a sign of wisdom, that you don't use terms you don't understand completely. And trying not to make this a completely James Lindsay focused video, I just want to give you guys the heads up that sometimes people will talk down to you because they don't want you to keep talking. They want you to stop talking because you're using your brain and it's interfering with their ability to control you on an intellectual level. Yeah. I know that sounds a little fucky wucky even, to use a technical term. But yeah, the purpose of intellectual language is to elevate a discussion, not to silence it, not to derail it. And people who use I just blew a smoke ring without meaning to. People who use extremely verified language with people who are not communicative in that sphere. Yeah, see, I'm doing it now. But if you use really technical terminology, really technical jargon, with someone who doesn't share your experience in a field, that is not you trying to enlighten them. That is you trying to deny their right to engage in discourse with you. It's a form of snobbery, and it's bullshit. When you're trying to reach an audience, and again, this is coalescent knowledge that I've picked up from all kinds of different people, but when you're trying to reach an audience, you don't talk to them at a level above what they can comprehend. Now, that's not that I'm denigrating the audience. That's simply pointing out not everybody has the same experience level with every single topic, with every single field. For example, I have a brother who's a millwright. There are things he says go completely over my head. I don't understand what he's talking about. And that's because he's using technical terms from a field that I don't have any real cognizance with. it would be the same as if I was using woodworking terminology. And some of those terms can be pretty fucking arcane. But it would be the same as if I was using woodworking terminology with someone who wasn't a woodworker. One quick example behind me, that's a backsaw. Now, people who have any experience with carpentry, with woodworking, immediately knows what the difference is between a backsaw and a backsaw and say, where are you? There. And say a hacksaw. Now, most people, if you say what ask them to tell you what a hacksaw is, they'll know what a hacksaw is. They'll know what it's used for, why the blade is different, things like that. But if they have no experience with tools, obviously they don't. And for you to continue talking about backsaws, dovetail saws, flush cut saws, you're going to go over their head, and you're going to discourage them from continuing to engage in the discussion with you. It's the same sort of thing with intellectual discourse. Some people, when they're trying to debate, will actually engage in this particular, well, we'll just call it a tactic. But they're not trying to elevate the conversation. They're either playing to their own ego, James Lindsay, or they're attempting to shut you down. Trying to think of anyone I can think of that's done that, other than James Lindsay. I don't want to bash James Lindsay too much. Poor guy. But yeah, just be aware of that. Sometimes when someone starts using highfalutin language, they're not doing it because they know more than you. They're doing it because they don't want you to know how little they know. Anyway, guys, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.
Hello, party people. So, you've probably just finished watching one of my videos, and I appreciate your time. That said, if you're watching on YouTube, because they've changed the way they evaluate their views, I need to ask a favor. You need to commit some form of engagement in order for me to have it count as a view, because for some reason YouTube no longer thinks watching something counts as a view. They need some form of engagement to prove you actually watched it. So, like, comment, follow, share, subscribe. Any of those things would be appreciated. Other than that, if you want to support me, and this would help me with endeavors across all the platforms I do my content creation on, you can look at Ko-Fi, which is right there in the ticker right at the moment, or you can go over to my Redbubble and pick up some merchandise there. The designs that have been flashing on screen for a while are examples of the designs that I have. You can pick these up on a variety of different products, and yeah, I'll probably end up leaving them up. Though, from time to time, I will put up something that will be time limited. Some of the designs, the Walrus King especially, for example, I intend to leave up all the time because I just love that, and my Ardent Plays logo is for my other Rumble channel. Other than that, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.